You need to understand something fundamental. You are not finished yet. Who you are today is not the final draft of your life. You are a rough sketch of what you could be. The problem is, most people spend too much time regretting the past or fearing the future, and in doing so, they ignore the one thing they can actually influence, the person they are becoming. If you keep your eyes fixed on that vision, life begins to shift in powerful and sometimes surprising ways. Stop measuring yourself against who others are today. The comparison game is a trap, one that drains your motivation and twists your perspective. Someone else's Chapter 20 will always look more impressive than your Chapter 2. Their achievements, their confidence, their apparent ease. These are the results of years of unseen work. You are not in a race against them. You are in a race against the weaker, smaller version of yourself. Your only real competition is who you were yesterday. Accept that who you are right now is incomplete. This isn't a flaw, it's an opportunity. Incompleteness means there's room to grow, space to evolve, and potential to be unlocked. Don't despise your starting point, because it's the very foundation that makes transformation possible. Every great change begins with an honest acknowledgement of where you currently stand, and with that acknowledgement comes the power to take your first deliberate step forward. Take radical responsibility for your trajectory. Blaming circumstances, your upbringing, or the actions of others hands over the steering wheel of your life. The moment you decide, I am responsible for what happens next, you reclaim control. It's not about denying the hardships you've faced, it's about refusing to let them define the boundaries of your future. Responsibility is the beginning of freedom. Picture a higher vision of yourself. See it in detail. What would your life look like if you lived with courage, discipline, and purpose? Imagine the way you would think, speak, and carry yourself. If you can't imagine it, you can't build it. Your vision becomes the compass that guides your decisions, and without it, you wander in circles, reacting to life instead of directing it. Break your transformation into small, measurable steps. Ambition without structure collapses under its own weight. Write down what you can do today that moves you closer to your vision, even if it's something small. The compound effect of daily effort is what shapes a person into someone unrecognizable from their former self. Growth is not a leap, it's a series of committed steps. Understand that becoming is not a one-time event, but a way of life. There will always be another challenge, another lesson, another opportunity to push past your limits. This is not a reason to feel discouraged. It's the very thing that makes life worth living. So stop fixating on what you were, stop obsessing over what you are, and put your focus on what you can become. That future self is not waiting for you. It is waiting to be built brick by brick, decision by decision, day by day. Accept that who you are right now is incomplete. This is not an insult. It is a statement of hope and potential. Incompleteness means there is space for growth, for progress, for transformation. It means you have not yet reached the limits of who you can be, and that should excite you rather than discourage you. Too many people waste energy pretending to have it all figured out, but the truth is none of us are finished products. We are in motion, works in progress, constantly changing in ways that can either move us forward or drag us back. When you recognize your incompleteness, you also recognize that there is no shame in your current stage. Every master was once a beginner. Every expert was once clumsy and unsure. Your starting point is not a measure of your worth. It is simply a measure of your current position. The danger lies not in starting small, but in refusing to start at all because you are embarrassed by how far you still have to go. The beauty of acknowledging your incompleteness is that it strips away the illusion of perfection. You no longer have to waste time maintaining an image of someone who never fails. Instead, you can channel your effort into actually improving day by day. This mindset keeps you humble, but also hungry, because you know there is always more to learn, more to master, more to become. Seeing yourself as incomplete also frees you from the trap of stagnation. People who believe they have arrived often stop pushing themselves. They settle, they slow down, and eventually they decline. When you embrace the fact that you are still in progress, you are less likely to get comfortable in mediocrity. You understand that the journey itself is the point and that every step forward is worth taking. Incompleteness also forces you to face your weaknesses with honesty. Instead of denying them, you can identify them and start working on them. This is where true confidence comes from, not from pretending you are flawless, but from actively addressing the areas where you are lacking. The more gaps you close, the more you will trust yourself to handle life's challenges. Your starting point is not a prison, it is a platform. Every skill you build, every habit you strengthen, every fear you face adds to that platform, raising you higher and higher toward the person you could become. The more you climb, the clearer the view becomes, and the more possibilities you see that were invisible from below. So don't despise where you are now. You are incomplete, yes, but you are also capable of change. This is the invitation life offers you every single day to keep building, to keep growing. You are a work in progress, and that is the most hopeful thing you can be. Taking radical responsibility for your trajectory begins with the recognition that no one else will live your life for you. The moment you surrender control to circumstances or to the actions of others, you give away the only real power you have, the ability to decide what comes next. It is easy to blame your upbringing, your environment, or the mistakes of people around you. It is much harder to say, "This is my life, and I will shape it." That shift in mindset is the dividing line between drifting aimlessly and steering your own course. When you accept full responsibility, you stop waiting for the world to change before you do. You stop postponing action until conditions are perfect. You realize that perfect conditions will never come and that your future depends on the choices you make in imperfect circumstances. This doesn't mean you deny the difficulties you've faced. It means you refuse to let them define the boundaries of what is possible for you. Owning your trajectory means understanding that your habits are either taking you closer to your potential or further away from it. Every decision, no matter how small, moves you in one of those two directions. This awareness can be uncomfortable because it forces you to confront the role you play in your own struggles. But discomfort is a signal that growth is within reach if you are willing to respond to it. Responsibility is not about carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. It is about taking ownership of what is within your control. You cannot change the past, you cannot rewrite other people's choices, and you cannot dictate the randomness of life, but you can control your attitude, your actions, and your persistence. Those three things, multiplied over time, can reshape the entire direction of your life. Choosing responsibility also frees you from the trap of victimhood. When you believe the power lies entirely outside of you, you will always be waiting for someone to rescue you, for luck to appear, for permission to act. But when you claim responsibility, you no longer wait. You move. You adapt. You create momentum, and that momentum pulls you out of situations you once thought were permanent. This mindset is not easy to adopt because it requires giving up excuses. Excuses offer comfort in the short term, but they quietly erode your confidence in the long term. Each time you take ownership instead of making an excuse, you strengthen your belief that you can handle whatever comes. That belief is not arrogance. It is the quiet certainty built through action. Radical responsibility is the foundation for becoming the person you could be. It forces you to stop looking backward in resentment or sideways in comparison and start looking forward with intention. It tells you that your life is not a script you are passively acting out. It is a story you are actively writing, and every choice you make is a sentence in that story. The question is, will you take the pen back into your own hands? Identifying a higher vision of yourself begins with allowing your mind to imagine without the limits you've grown accustomed to. Too often people shrink their vision to match their current reality, thinking that what they see around them now is all there will ever be. But the truth is, your future is not bound by your present circumstances. To see what you could be, you have to let yourself picture something bigger, something bolder, something that demands more from you than you are currently giving. This vision should not be vague. A blurry image will not inspire you, and it will not guide you when life gets hard. You need to picture the details. Imagine the way you would wake up, the way you would carry yourself, the kind of work you would do, the way you would interact with others, the way you would respond to challenges. The clearer the image, the more it will pull you toward it, like a magnet drawing you out of the smallness of your current habits. When you create this vision, it is not about pretending you are already that person. It is about understanding who you could become if you lived with courage, discipline, and purpose. Courage will allow you to face the risks and discomfort that growth demands. Discipline will keep you moving forward when motivation fades. Purpose will anchor you so that even in uncertainty, you know the direction you are meant to go. Some people avoid forming a vision because they fear disappointment if they fall short. But without a vision, you drift, and drifting always leads you somewhere you never intended to be. A higher vision is not a guarantee of perfection, but it is a compass. Even if you never arrive exactly where you imagined, you will end up far closer to your potential than if you had never aimed at all. Your vision must also be rooted in values that matter to you deeply. If it is based only on superficial measures like wealth, status, or recognition, it will crumble under pressure. But if it is built on qualities like integrity, wisdom, strength, and service, it will endure through seasons of difficulty. Those values will remind you why you started even when the road is long. Once you have this vision, you must revisit it often. Write it down. Speak it aloud. Reflect on it when you make decisions. Let it shape the choices you make in the small moments of daily life. Without constant attention, your vision will fade, and the pull of old habits will grow stronger. But when you keep it fresh in your mind, It becomes the standard against which you measure your actions. In the end, identifying a higher vision of yourself is not about wishful thinking. It is about giving your life direction and meaning. It is a declaration to yourself that you will not settle for who you are today, because there is more in you than you have yet shown. And if you hold that vision firmly enough, it will not just remain in your imagination. It will begin to take shape in the world, one deliberate choice at a time. Breaking your transformation into small, measurable steps begins with accepting that meaningful change is not the result of one grand gesture, but the accumulation of consistent, deliberate actions. Many people become overwhelmed by the size of their goals and freeze before they even begin. They imagine that success requires massive leaps, forgetting that every leap is made up of smaller, intentional movements. When you think in smaller steps, you make progress more approachable, and you eliminate the excuse of waiting until you feel ready. The danger of relying solely on ambition is that it can remain a vague, inspiring idea without structure. Without a clear path forward, even the most motivated person can become paralyzed by uncertainty. Structure transforms your ambition from a dream into a plan. It tells you what to do next, how to measure your progress, and how to adjust when something isn't working. This structure is what prevents you from drifting or losing focus when life becomes busy or unpredictable. To break down your transformation, you must first define the specific outcome you want to achieve. Then you work backward, identifying the smaller actions that will take you there. These actions should be realistic enough to accomplish, but challenging enough to stretch your limits. If your goal is to develop discipline, start with one habit, like waking up at the same time each day or committing to 10 minutes of focused work without distraction. These small victories build momentum, and momentum is the fuel of transformation. Small steps have a powerful psychological advantage. They create quick wins. Every time you complete one, you reinforce the belief that change is possible. These wins also give you the confidence to take on bigger challenges. The opposite is also true. When your goals are too big and you fail to reach them quickly, discouragement sets in and progress stalls. Small, measurable steps keep you engaged because they constantly feed you evidence that you are moving forward. Measuring your progress is as important as taking the steps themselves. Without measurement, you cannot see how far you have come, and without that awareness, you risk underestimating your growth. Measurement also keeps you accountable. Whether it's tracking your habits, logging your workouts, or documenting milestones in a journal, each record becomes a reminder of your commitment to the process. The compound effect of these small actions cannot be overstated. One step may seem insignificant in isolation, but over weeks and months, the results multiply. This is the same principle by which a single drop of water, given enough time, can carve a canyon. You may not notice the change day by day, but eventually, the difference will be undeniable to both you and the people around you. Ultimately, breaking your transformation into small, measurable steps is about mastering the art of persistence. It shifts your focus from an intimidating end goal to the manageable action you can take today. When you do this consistently, the path to your vision stops feeling impossible and instead becomes a series of achievable, rewarding milestones. Step by step, you transform not just your habits, but the very person you are becoming. Embracing discomfort as the path forward starts with accepting a truth that many people avoid. Growth rarely feels good in the moment. The very nature of progress is that it pushes you beyond the boundaries where you feel safe and certain. Just as physical muscles only grow when they are stressed through resistance, the muscles of your mind, your character, and your spirit strengthen when they are tested. Discomfort is not a sign that something has gone wrong. It is a signal that you are in the process of becoming something more than you were before. Too often, people mistake discomfort for danger and retreat at the first sign of strain. They choose the path of least resistance, thinking it will keep them safe. But what it actually does is keep them small. The comfort zone may feel warm and familiar, but it also prevents you from developing the resilience and skills you need to face the real challenges of life. Every time you avoid discomfort, you reinforce the habit of running from growth. Discomfort has a unique way of revealing your limits, not to discourage you, but to show you where you need to work. When you attempt something difficult, whether it's speaking in front of others, tackling a new skill, or confronting a personal weakness, you quickly see where you fall short. This awareness can feel frustrating, but it is also a gift. You cannot improve what you refuse to face, and discomfort forces you to face it head on. The path of discomfort is also the path of adaptation. When you expose yourself to challenges repeatedly, you stop seeing them as threats and start seeing them as opportunities. The situation that once made you nervous now becomes manageable, and what was once manageable becomes easy. This process of adaptation is how you expand your capacity and prepare yourself for even greater challenges ahead. Choosing discomfort doesn't mean seeking pain for its own sake. It means deliberately choosing the harder option when you know it will help you grow. It means saying yes to the difficult conversation instead of avoiding it, committing to the discipline instead of indulging the shortcut, and leaning into the unknown instead of clinging to the familiar. These choices are uncomfortable precisely because they require courage and self-control. Over time, your relationship with discomfort changes. Instead of fearing it, you begin to respect it. You understand that it is the doorway to transformation. While others spend their lives avoiding anything that challenges them, you build the habit of walking toward the things that stretch you. This habit becomes part of your identity. You see yourself as someone who can handle hard things, and that belief shapes every decision you make. Ultimately, embracing discomfort is about aligning yourself with the truth that nothing worth achieving comes without effort. The path forward will not always be pleasant, but it will be meaningful. Discomfort strips away illusions and forces you to grow in ways comfort never will. If you can accept that and lean into it, you will find that each challenge you face leaves you stronger, wiser, and more capable than you were before.